So this is our first Coleman College of Business / SOAR presentation. Hopefully we'll do more with SOAR because they're a great organization that does a lot of things for us. But we've got some distinguished people here today. If you're a Coleman College of Business faculty, please stand up. I won't take the time to introduce everyone, but if you're in the Coleman College of Business, you know who these people are. So we'll get started. We're so happy you're here. The weather turned out wonderfully. Yesterday we were kind of nervous, but today's a great day. So I want to introduce the first person today that I know that works with SOAR. Her name is Dana Barnett, and her title is the Project Manager for Social Enterprise Accelerator. She works with SOAR. She lives in another county. Where do you live? Lawrence County, but on occasion she comes up and spends some time in our office and just works with her laptop and stuff. So we started planning this event last October, and it takes a while to get everything coordinated. So she's been great to work with and will continue to be great to work with. So I'll introduce Dana, and she'll introduce and tell us some more about our speakers today. Thank you all for coming.
I want to thank Ms. Maynard. She has been instrumental in organizing this event and the entire Coleman College of Business and UPike and the Start Something Entrepreneurship Club. If you all have not joined Start Something, we would love to have you sign up and see Jared Arnett after this event. But I'm going to introduce our moderator, Jared Arnett. He's the entrepreneur in residence for the University of Pikeville. He's the co-founder of Mountain Music Exchange, based in Pikeville, Kentucky. Mountain Music Exchange is now the largest retailer for guitars in Central Appalachia with customers all over the United States. He was the founding executive director of SOAR and is working in worked with three different Kentucky governor administrations by supporting a network of over 300 partners to develop and implement the blueprint for the future of Appalachia. Over the last 20 years, he has been a part of launching over 20 new initiatives, for-profits, nonprofits, ministries, churches, programs, and has never had a job that existed before he took it. So we appreciate having an innovator here among us to be our moderator. Up next, we're going to have our first speaker, Peyton May. He oversees the operations at BitSource, where his team crafts custom software solutions for web, mobile, and VR, AR. He's passionate about design, fabrication, and creativity. He channels these skills into projects that reflect unique personality of Central Appalachia. Whether through BitSource, #Appalachia, Runt Labs, or Lincoln Road, he's always building. Whether it's brands, experiences, or products, as a designer at heart, he thrives in bringing ideas to life and sharing his knowledge with students whenever possible. Building isn't just what he does, it's at the core of everything he pursues, and we appreciate him for being here with us today. And then up next, we're going to have Gabriella Blocher. She serves as the Chief Executive Officer for Sunflower Fuels, handling the day-to-day operations and the strategy for the business. Ms. Blocher holds a bachelor's in science degree from the United States Naval Academy and a master's of business and administration in economics from Columbia Business School. She is an airborne qualified former Marine logistics officer. Her professional career has included extensive startup management and business growth experience. She is the current president and for the board of the Mercant Library of Cincinnati, and she is the partner in multiple real estate investment companies. She solves complex problems with ingenuity and has a passion for building and growing dynamic teams with varying skills, and we appreciate her for being here. And then our final speaker will be Ryan Hall. Ryan is a professional weather analyst, storm chaser, and proud dad with a passion for exploring the skies. With years of experience tracking and forecasting weather, Ron brings a unique blend of scientific experience and adventurous spirit to everything he does. Whether he's chasing dramatic storms or breaking down the science behind the forecast, he delivers engaging and informative content on his YouTube channel. His extraordinary online presence has turned his passion into a thriving business, connecting and inspiring a global audience. Join him as he shares his knowledge on building a tech business. So, with this panel, we are going to explore entrepreneurship today and what it takes to build a thriving business and innovate in Appalachia. SOAR and SOAR Innovation and the Coleman College of Business and UPike, thank you all for being here today. And after we have our panelists speak, we're going to have an opportunity for a Q&A. So if you have questions at the end, feel free to come up to the mic. And just one piece of housekeeping, we're going to be passing around a sign-in sheet, so make sure you put your name and your professor's name to get credit for being here today. And without further ado, we are going to get started with our panelists.
All right, guys, welcome out. Excited to hear some stories about entrepreneurship. We're obviously not going to get into the weeds of the details. This is an inspirational speaker series, and many times we can become inspired through stories, individual stories. Every entrepreneur story is different, and so we're going to get just some insight from three great panelists today. You heard Dana share. We've got an initiative here at UPike called Start Something, and it involves a student club. That whole idea, when we were thinking about what to call it, we realized it's really easy to have an idea. It's really easy to brainstorm and come up with something. The next step that is the most difficult is to literally start it, is to take action and do something around it. And for me personally, being from Eastern Kentucky, I think entrepreneurship and what we call innovation-driven entrepreneurship, so companies that are starting, that are leveraging technology in some ways to think about a customer that is outside of the Pikeville area, outside of Eastern Kentucky. So we say a lot, where's Pikeville? And it's in Pike County, it's in Kentucky, but we use Pikeville Earth. Right? Because you can do things through technology from real places that you couldn't do 10 years ago, 20 years ago. And all of these are examples of that. So we got a framework. We got 3 questions we're going to kind of walk through, but this is going to be a discussion. There was no dress rehearsal. Some of us just met a few minutes ago. And so we're going to have just some fun, and I know quality things are going to come out of it. So let's start with the first question. We'll start with Peyton, and each of you can take a stab at it, and then we'll go the other direction on the next one, and we might not make it to the third one. We'll just see. Sound good? All right, first question. What inspired you to get into entrepreneurship in the beginning? Was there a defining moment? Was there a time that you realized you may not take the traditional career path, but chose to start something at some point or be involved in a startup and entrepreneurship?
Yeah, so going back a little bit, both my grandparents ran their own businesses. One had his own clinic, and the other one has an automobile parts store that's still in operation, and that's kind of where I spent my childhood, were in both of those places. So I think I was getting a taste for what entrepreneurship was early on without really knowing it. And then, did little things like lemonade stands and that kind of like basic stuff we do as kids, the motivation to sell something, to make something. And then really just happened into my partnership with Rusty and Lynn at BitSource doing the software development thing. But I've been part of 6 or so other startups over the past 10 years or so. And, it's most of that's just coming from a feel here to do something. You don't see the things that you can plug into, so you make them. So yeah, several examples within those.
Yeah, my first exposure to entrepreneurship began in Beattyville, Kentucky. I grew up in Cincinnati, but my family, my mother was from Beattyville, and my family founded the Beattyville Novelty and Gift Shop, and then some other family members founded Rose Bargain Store there. So when I was a small child in the 80s and 70s, that's where I got to spend my time, and that was a really excellent exposure to it. My grandmother really founded that shop out of the front room of the building she grew up in downtown Beattyville, and then so it was inspiring, and it was successful. She worked so hard, but she was on her own terms and did quite well. I went to, as we mentioned, I served in the military. I love that quote about you, Peyton, that you have never had a job that had existed prior to you having it. And I was thinking about serving as a second lieutenant in the Marine Corps, like the oldest job ever. But the Marine Corps definitely, and the Naval Academy, gave me a sense of responsibility, accountability, confidence, the idea that I could, using the tools that the military graciously gave me, I could create something from scratch. So my path has been long and winding and circuitous and crazy in some ways, but I think the mixture of those two things, the being around my grandmother and then serving in the Marine Corps and having the confidence to do that, and then being exposed to business made it so that I felt very excited and inspired by, and can accept nothing less than the experience of being an entrepreneur in my life.
Yeah, so I always say that I was drawn to entrepreneurship out of necessity because every job that I've ever wanted to have didn't exist. In order to make it happen, in order to be able to do the things that I wanted to do and solve the problems that I want to solve, I kind of had to invent the job. So that's how I've ended up in entrepreneurship. When I was growing up, I didn't do lemonade stands. I just wanted to do the weather. And, the TV model and the traditional ways of doing that, it's not really there anymore. I also fell in love with YouTube when I saw it, and I've always really liked graphic design, production, and marketing and stuff. And there just wasn't an existing channel for me to point myself towards that combined all three of those things. So in order to be able to work on those things, I had to create the job for myself. And thankfully, there was a spot for it in the market. So that's what drew me to entrepreneurship. And as far as a defining moment goes, it was probably whenever I started working for a TV station and I realized that there was more that I wanted to do that couldn't be done within the confines of existing jobs that already were out there. So, yeah.
So maybe follow up a little bit on that, Ryan, and talk about the moment you did your first weather video on YouTube and what that process was like, and how many videos in, at what point when you started that did you realize this is something?
Yeah, so specifically with the YouTube videos talking about weather, that was never supposed to be like a huge business. It was, I'm a weather nerd, and I know that there's a lot of other weather nerds out there, and I was making those videos for them. I was like, okay, there's a big snowstorm coming. We can talk about diffluence and convergence bands and all kinds of different 800 millibar troughs, and we'll have a really good time. And I did it, and the weather nerds came, but also I figured out that there was a big need in the market for people really want a deeper understanding of weather that you can't get from TV. And average everyday people started tuning in, and then it just kind of snowballed from there.
Let's walk through. We have another saying that we use a lot. It says, "Success is never final, failure is never fatal." It's this feeling of like it's going well, but it's not always going to go well. You can't put it on cruise control. But also, there's times you try new things and you experiment. When you're doing innovation and you're trying to start something new, that at some point you got to have things that don't work, and that's just part of, you're going to fail. Something's not going to work. And we say a lot, if everything we're trying is working, we're not experimenting enough, we're not innovating enough. You got to be trying some new things. So talk us through any failures or maybe one specific setback you had that you learned from, and any lessons you learned from it.
Well, I fail all the time. There's like every day I do something that doesn't work, and that comes along with creating jobs for yourself. You know, if you're trying to create a business, or if you're trying to do something that is different, that there's not a guidebook for, you will mess up. You have to create the guide yourself. So I look at failures as, you know, it's a good way to add to the documentation of how to do it right, you know, for whoever it is that's coming next, or, you know, whatever project we go towards next. So a big setback, I don't look at anything that's ever happened as a setback. Right now, not to pat myself on the back too much, but right now, Ryan Hall, y'all, is probably the most influential meteorologist on Earth. And I didn't finish my last semester of meteorology school. I think most people who have the goal of, you know, I want to solve the biggest problems in the world with forecasting, communication, and weather forecasting, they would call it quits if they didn't finish their degree. That would be a big setback. But for me, every time something happens that would traditionally get in the way, it's just like, okay, how else do we do it? So, yeah.
Gabby, would you share your thoughts on failure, any setbacks? And what Ryan just said is the entrepreneurial mindset. It's the essence of it, really, that you can apply to any career, any job, anything that you're doing. It's not no because, it's yes if. Like, those are the people you around you. Here's a roadblock. We can do it if we can solve that. Not we can't do it because of that. But Gabby, your thoughts, experiences, any specific things that come to mind?
Yeah, all right, I'm going to use this moment to have a little therapy session for myself, selfishly. But I'll just say 2021, in 2021, I was serving in the role, so I've done a lot of entrepreneurial things. I'm a partner in some companies, done some innovative things, been a founding member of a few startups, but there's one other time besides right now that I had the title of CEO at a startup, and it was in 2021. During that time, it was super exciting. It was a super cool thing. One of my buddies from undergrad invented a device that really effectively decontaminated masks. So it was a COVID-specific piece of technology. The day the mask mandates went away, our company was, I won't use blue language, but our company was done. Our company was over. So that was a big moment. But there's more to the story, which is that's 2021. That's the first year after the pandemic. Sort of, you know, it all kind of faded. I got diagnosed with breast cancer. I had breast cancer that year, so I was dealing with a lot personally. I was in chemo, so I was like, and I have 3 kids, and one of them was 2 years old at the time. It was a crazy year. The reason I want to say it's like a therapy session is I think back. It's easy again to sort of think about life. I think all of us who are ambitious and achievement-oriented and want things out of life, it's easy to sort of compartmentalize things and try to think linearly, and like it is just this linear path with ups and downs and ups and downs. But sometimes there's just a lot going on, and I know that every day. You know, I learned this saying when I was in grad school, which is good thing, bad thing, who knows? I think about that year, and obviously there was a lot of stress, and it's easy to use the word failure about the moment that our company was done, and I was sick and all that stuff. But I can tell you that everything I bring to the table right now as a current CEO of a current startup that's funded and we have a lot of exciting things going on, comes from that year. I have so much, I gained so much from that experience of the crappy year of 2021 for me, so.
Yeah, I think it's definitely easier to keep your failures in mind than your successes for whatever reason, right? Because we're like learning from those. One really specific example, I came alongside a few guys who had started a hemp company several years back when all of that was kind of emerging. And our plan was just to sell wholesale flower, grow it here in the region, and get other small farmers involved. And what we didn't pay attention to, and I wasn't really aware of, were the amount of like licenses to grow that came out year over year. And so when you're looking at like the wholesale prices of hemp flower, you know, year one of licensure, they're really high. You know, then maybe 100x licenses happen. What do you think is going to happen to the wholesale flower market, you know, that next year? Well, we didn't think about that, and that market pretty much just tanked. So then you're, taking on more investment, more risk, and trying to process the product into something that you could, sell in the marketplace. And, you know, we've since closed that business, and that was a failure. But yeah, similar to Ryan, you know, in the tech space, week over week, we're trying something new. You're always running into failures. I'm sure you get that as students in school too, with concepts, writing papers, getting feedback from teachers, you know, all that stuff. So entrepreneurship's definitely continual learning and failure, but you get successes too.
That's great. Let's share, if you had just a few moments here to give some advice, if you just share with the students, community, people who are thinking about getting into this, how you balance kind of ambition and the practicality of starting a new company. I love Gabby kind of weaving in, like, you're still family, you're still a human being and dealing with life. And Ryan, when we were standing out there, like last time I saw you, you were wearing a bluey suit doing trick or treat with your kids, right? Like on downtown coming by the house, like still living life with your family people. And so just balancing being an entrepreneur with life, and any advice you'd share, with the students.
I'm a person, like, my mind's always going. Some of you may relate to that, some may not. So I just don't turn that off, really. It's just part of who I am, so it kind of runs in the background. My advice would be, you know, where I'm commonly in my imagination like that, I don't often understand maybe what the market's going to think of an idea, right? But the quicker I can test that out with real people and get feedback, I can actually know if something's a good idea or not. You know, if you're working on something proprietary that you can't share, that's one thing. But if you just have an idea for a product or service that you can talk to somebody about or make a demo and test it, the quicker you can get from, you know, idea to reality, the faster you can find out if something's going to work or not. So that'd be my thing. Like, don't stay in your head too long. Try and do something and see what it does.
So the question is, what one piece of, yeah.
Yeah, if you were going to share some advice, if they have an idea, just the, I guess not to sugarcoat it and say this is all easy, just go start it. The practicality of starting a company and things to consider.
Yeah, I mean, some of the points you brought up about that experience with that hemp company, like, it's one thing to have an idea, but it's another thing to understand what the administrative and logistical hurdles might be towards actualizing or executing on that idea. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think confidence would be a thing that I would say, though. So if you have an idea and you believe in it and it's in your gut and you feel really strongly about it, and it's based on, at this, you know, even those of us who are quite young in the room have lived enough life that if you've reached a point where you've developed a perspective that you feel really strongly about, in terms of it being an opportunity to do something entrepreneurial, you know, be confident in yourself, test it out, and the way to actualize your confidence is to engage with your prospective customers and learn a little bit about everything that you just said, but don't let people shoot you down. I mean, I've now, because of that experience in 2021 and the experience I'm in right now with this startup, I have pitched many times. I've pitched a startup many times. And this pitch we have for our startup right now is great. It's a great pitch. Also, the business model is great. The projections are solid. It's real. The opportunity is real. Yet, pretty much every day when I'm at it, I get like an extremely dismissive no from somebody who seems to have a great deal of authority. I was in San Francisco last week, and there are like these fancy Silicon Valley people who are just like, I roll. And I don't care. Like, I'm confident. I know the work that we've put into this company. I know what the opportunity is. If it's not a fit for fancy pants Silicon Valley guy, that doesn't matter at all to me, because I know I have the confidence in my company. So, confidence.
So, as far as striking a balance between like being a person and like being a person that runs a company, I'm not a very good person to ask that question. And like if you're somebody who's extremely driven by your purpose, if you're somebody who's trying to create things to give yourself a job or to give yourself the ability to solve big problems, you're going to have a problem with that as well. But it is important to peel yourself away from that part of your life every once in a while, because first of all, like it's just important, and also it'll help you when you come back to work on those big problems in your work again. So, yeah.
Maybe one of the things that I love about the Coleman College of Business is the connection between kind of the business management and also with the College of Business. It's also the IT program, New Information Technology program, led by, everybody affectionately calls him Praveen. He is a doctor, but we just call him Praveen. And he's awesome. He's building a great program. But this intersection of technology and entrepreneurship and business and rural communities, and something they're talking about right now is a minor in artificial intelligence and AI and how that impacts business. So this wasn't on the list of questions, but I want to give each of you an opportunity to just share your thoughts on AI. Are you using it in your business? We took a class maybe 2 semesters ago to see BitSource, to see Peyton, and they had this business idea that they just kind of pitched while we were standing there, and he went in the back and used an AI tool and came back with a mock-up of the app for a thing that would have normally taken weeks of discovery, and this just happened, and they were all like, but we're not allowed to use AI, right? Like, and we brought us here, and it's the first thing they did was use AI. And so just this juxtaposition that we're all in of education, artificial intelligence, how does it impact? We're not going to spend a lot of time on this, but just your thoughts, and then we'll open it up to questions from the room.
Just generally on AI, I'm all in. Speaking of being drawn to entrepreneurship as a way to create pathways for myself to solve problems, AI is my new job, because I spend probably 10% of my day now doing the weather, and I spend 90% of the time developing software and building our own local large language models that allow me to do the weather at a better level than anybody else. And we are helping a lot of people, potentially saving a lot of lives through that. But that didn't exist. Like, there's nobody else working on that at the same level. So we've essentially had to create a whole new company to make that happen. So, yeah, I'm all in with AI for sure.
What's some practical ways you're using it right now?
Well, one of the big ways is it's opened me up to be able to develop software. So I can just talk to a large language model with human language and develop an application that normally would have taken years to make and hundreds of thousands of dollars in 1 week. And that's what I've been doing. I have the state-of-the-art software for everything that has to do with weather, and I build it myself. And now we're working on making them public and giving people access to them for free, because we didn't have to spend $100,000 on it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. That's cool.
That's totally awesome, and I want to talk to you about it when the time is right for our company. I use it every day to just simply chat GPT. I'm not writing software, but I don't know if I can use the phrase "I'm all in," but it's the future, and I currently am taking advantage of it. Our company is just at a point where the work we're doing is agricultural, and by agricultural I mean planting a small plot of 15 acres of miscanthus with a partner that plants a very specific way, and there aren't large data sets that we have to deal with just yet, but we will eventually. And then there also isn't a large data set of customers. There is a large data set of prospective investors, and that's I use ChatGPT to help me engage there. But yeah, I don't have anything too super smart to say about it, but yay AI.
Yeah, we're obviously using it every day too. My developers are using it, in different way, or our developers are using it in different ways than I am. I'm writing little programs as well. And thinking about the education conversation, obviously I'm not an educator and I don't write policy, so I have no authority. But I'm thinking, if you use this personally, obviously plagiarism's one thing, right? Like AI just writing your paper and you not learning or doing anything, that's pretty sad. But if you write a full paper and you're like, yo, give me some feedback on this, and 5 ideas that I can do to make it better, things about maybe the concept that I'm exploring that I haven't thought about yet, I think you get just a fresh perspective. It's like having a friend that has a lot more sort of knowledge than you on a subject at the moment. Sometimes it's accurate, sometimes it's not. So, even if you use it personally, I think you can use it to expand the work that you're doing, not just, complete the task that somebody's assigned you, right? This is really basic, but just like yesterday, just trying to get text to radiate around a circle like you would be able to do in Adobe Illustrator or something, and it just wasn't, there's no easy way to do it, and my customer keeps changing the amount of things that need to go in this circle and what they say, and so every time I'd have to manually do it. So I'm like, hey, just write me a program where I can, do this, and made a little front-end tool in an hour, Ryan's saying, and now I can go online, throw my text in there, make my graphic, download it, and I'm done. So it's it allows anybody to be somewhat of a computer scientist, which is really cool, because now you can see if your ideas that you have actually have merit and test them out, and that's really cool.
All right, we'll open it up to questions if anybody wants to line up at the microphone, or don't fall over yourselves.
Is anybody out there, does anybody have a side business right now? Or an idea for one?
Got a few hands up. We've got several around there.
Want to share what it is?
Is that Amante? Amante. Get ready.
What's up, everybody? I do have an idea for a side business. It's called Alert Tech. Basically, I'll be in the business of helping protect people on the road. See, my device is for the people who have sleeping problems, sleeping disorders, or anything that prohibits you from driving safely, maybe on a long drive or anything like that. Specifically for truck drivers. My dad had an accident a few years back to where he's basically physically unable to drive long periods anymore. So my device basically reads your heartbeat, and whenever you start to fall asleep, it alerts you to let you know you need to take a break from driving, maybe get a cup of coffee or something like that. And I'm actually in Jared Arnett's class right now, developing a plan on how to get it started. So that's just my idea, Alert Tech.
That was a great question.
Yeah, in his defense, I asked him to pitch.
Yeah. Thank you, Amante.
What's your driver? What's your motivation that makes you get up every day when you're tired and you're discouraged and you've been told no 500 times and you just could give up if you wanted to, but something drives you up?
I'm specifically passionate about, our place here, Appalachia, right? If you look at ARC data and you look at their success from whatever it is, 1975 to 2025, you got 77 counties that are like in distress. You go 20 years forward and, you know, now there's 76 or 78. It's like, you know, where's the improvement? And we have declining population and, you know, all these negative kind of things, right? But we live in a beautiful place. We have beautiful culture. We have people who are like creative with insane ideas, able to reach global markets. So we can do anything from here if we set our minds to it. And I think we can preserve like our culture in this place too. So, you know, I love this place, and like my work is about creating opportunity here so that, you know, future generations hopefully can stay and make this place home too. That's why I get up.
Yeah, similarly, you know, our business is about having this region be the epicenter of the future of energy production, sustainable energy production. And the opportunity is real, and this is the right place for it. And yeah, so one way to say it is belief in my particular, our business model, but our business model is about this region. So yeah, that's it.
I hate sleep. I hate weekends. I am so madly in love with what I do every day that like I get out of bed and I run to the weather house is what I call it. I think just really honing in and picking exactly like what you want to do and tuning everything else out is the way to get there. That's how I've gotten there.
Yeah, I see deep passion in all of that, and many times when we have our first conversations about entrepreneurship in a classroom, the conversation goes to, yeah, I want to make a lot of money, right? That's the drive. Like, you can't make a successful company with that as the driving force. What you find is people who are driven by a mission that really matters and makes a difference. Money's just like the benefit of doing that. It comes along with it when you're passionate about it and you're growing something that matters. Resonate with a lot of what all of them said. We had a slogan for a long time at SOAR. You know, you talked about all the stats here, that in order to accomplish outcomes you've never achieved, you have to do things that have never been done. Like, it can't be what we did 10 years ago. It can't be what we did, like, that means the solution we don't really know. It's going to take innovation and entrepreneurship, and which is an exciting thing for me to think about, and exciting to hear their stories and some evidence of real change happening. Ryan, I don't know if you'd be willing to share, but number of subscribers, employees, your company size, that kind of, just give us some idea of the scale of what you've been able to do from, you know, rural Kentucky.
Yeah, so my business is called Hall Enterprises. It's a media company, and our main job is just to manage my YouTube channel, Ryan Hall, y'all. We've got like 20 employees from around the United States, and I've got 2.5 million subscribers on YouTube, 2 million followers on TikTok, about 1 million followers amongst the other social media platforms. And yeah, speaking about like wanting to do it, like wanting to do business for money, like specifically, in my current position, I make more than I ever thought was possible, and it feels to me like an accident, like it just happened because of, you know, I guess it's because of like the passion and like how driven I am to do what it is that I'm doing. It's never been a goal of mine. It's like we need to make X amount of dollars today or whatever. It's just something that has came as a result of being so focused.
That's great. Any other questions? We got a few minutes left here. Come on, I know there's some out there.
Same thing you just asked, Ryan.
Y'all can get in line. Just get in line there if you want to ask questions. It would be good.
So, Gabriella, tell us how many employees you have and where you're located, and Peyton, you can do the same thing.
Yeah, so we have one FTE. That's me. We are based in We did our, like I mentioned it previously, we did our first planting in Perry County and engaged some contractors, like 3 or 4 people. We are about to put out 2 offers in the next 2 weeks, so our workforce will triple by the end of the month. Yeah,
That's a big deal.
It is.
That's a scary deal, too.
It's huge. It's huge. Yeah, I've been doing a lot of thinking about, like my title is CEO of a company, but I was talking to one of my girlfriends with whom I served in the military a couple of days ago, and about my job, and she's like, yeah, you're also the bosun mate, the yeoman, the engineer, the maintenance officer, the maintenance tech, like everything administrative. And I am thinking a lot about the things that will be delegated to the other 2 staff members who will be joining our team in the very near future. And yeah, so that's our current state. We have 2 letters of intent, actually 3 letters of intent from customers. Our bread and butter, the way we will make money, is through off-take agreements. So very near-term urgent task that we'll be focused on heavily is turning those letters of intent into off-take agreements and getting a few more off-takers. Maybe you should answer.
Yeah, BitSource is just down the street on Hamley in the old Coke bottling facility. We're usually 10 folks, sometimes up to 15, depending on what kind of projects we're working on. And then I'm partners with a few guys in a little coffee shop in Norton. We probably have 7 or 8 folks there usually.
So my question is, how do you personally gauge the interest in something that you are passionate about, and maybe how you would do so in a weather sense, a conventional need in an unconventional way? Like, how would you gauge your fan base and or audience based on that kind of information?
I guess do you mean in a general way or specific for him?
In general.
I guess it depends on what it is, right? And who the audience, who you think the audience should be, and then what's the means to access that audience, platform or through whatever type of media, to get a sense of what their opinions are.
My answer is ask them.
Specifically talking about content, the way that I've always gone about it is I look for the kind of content that I would want to watch or interact with, and then I either find it or I don't. If I find it, then I'm like, okay, well, what would make this better? And then that's the first step. If I don't find it, that's even better. I think, okay, we get to start from ground zero and build up from there. So.
Yeah, definitely. Think about who the audience is, the market, and talk to them. Talk to potential customers or people you think would be interested. I think YouTube is an easy way. Like, I remember one of the sessions Ryan did, he said, if you want to get started, just start making videos. Like, it's low cost, like you can just start making videos and putting them on there. And then you'll find what works and what doesn't, but just make them and keep making them. But yeah, talk to customers.
I was thinking of like a few products that we've done, specific for municipal. We're trying to get in front of like a city manager, like a maintenance person within a city. We, potentially buy an email list and do a blast marketing to those types of folks, or try and get in-person, meetings with them. Similarly, we did something in like the K-12 space, so we're superintendent, principal. So depending on the product or service, right, then it's like who's the buyer potentially, or the influencer for the buyer, and then what relationships do I have to be able to make those connections?
Yeah, early stage, like a Monte, you want to prove all your assumptions wrong as fast as you can, right? He's assuming things about truck drivers, so like his first step is to go talk to 4 or 5 truck drivers and get in a sense for the real problem and confirm. But yeah, just conversations. Thank you. We probably got time for one more, and we got one more.
So each of you all come from like kind of different industries, kind of similar to me, but so I'm interested in seeing or asking what did your first steps look like in each of your industries? Because I know you're in YouTube, Ryan, and you're in tech creation, and I think fuel and stuff. So what did your first steps look like? How did you enter the market, gaining funding or whatever it looked like for you?
So my background is in architecture and urban planning. And I had like done a lot of digital media stuff and built some like basic websites in grad school, and then kind of organically met my business partners here. They were starting BitSource as a mission to train coal industry professionals who had lost their employment to do software development. Came on as like creative director with them, and then just started doing more administration and operations type work. Similarly, in #Appalachia, Lincoln Road, real estate, it's just been like meeting a partner, a friend who has an interest, and coming alongside them and kind of helping them develop. So a lot of that's just been like organic, finding people who are driven by something and then doing it with them.
Yeah, I mean, I'll answer about our company, how our company was formed, and then I came on board as a startup person. Like I'm a general manager, operator type person. So I was hired by this company, and it was founded by some folks who were doing work for GE Aerospace, and there was a extensive discussion about sustainable aviation fuel and the future of sustainable aviation fuel. Where are we going to get all this sustainable aviation fuel? SAF, where are we going to get it? And that group of folks did a deep dive on that issue and came to the conclusion, which again is a real conclusion, and it's really a huge issue. It's a huge market gap. There is not enough feedstock anywhere on Earth to get anywhere near the amount of SAF that needs to be produced by 2030, and then even more so 2050. So a problem that needs to be solved is the development of purpose-grown energy crops. And this is the right, you're letting me give my pitch for my company, but the purpose-grown energy crops, and this is the right region to grow this particular crop that we're focused on.
So I've been creating YouTube videos and releasing publicly consumed weather forecasts since I was like 8 years old. So when I was in high school, actually when I was in 8th grade, I had a website called pcclose.com where everybody in Pike County could go and see what the forecast for school being closed the next day was. And that was technically my introduction to the industry that I'm in now. But I've had several YouTube channels, and like I've always been trying, several failures too, to get to where I am now. So it's just all I've ever known. It's just been there since the beginning.
For me, 1998, I was in high school, probably freshman, sophomore, and Foothills Rural Telephone hung a line at the head of a holler in McGoffin County, and we got the internet. And I started my first eBay account and started selling the guitars and stuff my mom and dad were buying me. That was a good business model. But that was it. That was the first time I was selling stuff online from the head of a holler in McGoffin County. And, and now we're in the middle of, we've got thousands of things listed on multiple sites and selling online. So it's just little things. Right now, little things you start turn into big things 10 years from now. So just start something. That was a good ending. That was a great setup. And so I think we're done. We're right at the time. Give a big hand for our panelists. And big hand for Miss Maynard. Miss Maynard helps put these things together. And so thankful. Thank you all.